We're starting a series of videos today that are going to kind of help explain some of the problems that people run into with photography. One of them that we're going to explain today is our depth of field as far as using our aperture, and then we'll do another series of videos about how your aperture also controls light. So the example I'm going to use today to help you a little visually with what we see is when you have your aperture down at 2, or let's say 2.8, I want you to look at this loaf of bread. This loaf of bread shows you can only see 2 slices of bread because we're going to just make one sandwich, so there's only 2 slices of bread. You don't even pay attention to the rest of this, and you can't really see it. So that's like having an aperture of 2 or 2.8. Now if you look over here, this is a full loaf of bread. And if I want the whole loaf of bread and I want to make several sandwiches, I'm going to want all 22 slices of bread. So think about this, is that it's f22 for like a landscape shot, so that you're going to get the entire image from where you're standing to infinity instead of just this. So some examples, from 2.8 up to f8 is what I use for example. It's going to be about 90 to 95% of the photos you're going to take in your lifetime. Because this is how I look at it, is any photo you're ever going to take, the only time you want everything in focus is when you shoot a landscape. Everything else, you should be wanting to blur out the background completely or slightly, one of the two. So what we're doing with this one is we're actually going to shoot a shallow depth of field if I'm shooting portraits, if I'm shooting flowers, if I'm shooting family photographs. Even if I'm shooting a picture of my family standing in front of the Tetons, I have to make a decision. Am I going to take a picture of just the Tetons or just my family, or try to make you understand you're in the Tetons? So if I shoot 2.8, f4, I'm going to have my family in focus. The background's going to blur out slightly. You're still going to tell you're in the Tetons, but everybody's going to look at your family first, then the Tetons, and back to your family again.
How you doing, folks? I'm Hans Kopsel from Perfect Light Camera. I also wanted to add another explanation of aperture for all of you who think more mathematically. To translate these loaves of bread into numbers, you got to think of the F number that you see on your camera. So typically it looks like F with a slash and then a number, 2.8. Now, a lot of times we have people in here that think that's a smaller opening because the number is smaller. However, this is actually a bigger opening compared to F16. And that confuses people. So the way that we explain it here is if we take that F and actually turn it into a 1, this changes everything. It turns it into a fraction. 1/2 is a bigger number than 1/16. Therefore, 2.8, F2.8 is a bigger opening than F16. And there you have it.
So hopefully this helps you understand. Just remember, 2 or 2.8 or 3.5, your depth of field is going to be very shallow. You're only going to see these 2 pieces of bread. But if you go to F22, you're going to see all 22 slices of bread. Please help us share these videos. Share them on Facebook, like them on Facebook. And please send in requests for any other videos you'd be interested in, just 1 or 2 minute videos to show really easy things to understand. Thank you for your time.